achieved.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Studio de Jeffrey de Quarantine, where I found this bucket hat in the car yesterday, and I am excited because I like a good bucket hat, and this is a good bucket hat. Men, the ladies are haters when it comes to the bucket hat. My lady thinks that bucket hats are terrible, and I think that she's just jealous because we can rock something that's super cool, and the ladies don't get to rock the bucket hat as much as we do. So shout out to bucket hats. Okay, you guys want to talk about that scrimmage last night? Huh? That was stupid. It was so stupid. I'm going to tell you what I think happened, okay? This is my theory. What happened is Jerry already had a deal on TV for the scrimmage, and when you have a deal, you don't get to back out of a deal. So they had to televise something, but that deal was probably struck, excuse me, before Mike McCarthy was the head coach. And Mike McCarthy got hired, and Jerry was like, well, Mike, I got to tell you, we're going to do our blue-white scrimmage, and the people love it, and they do, and they watch, and they're going to like it, and we're going to give them a show, give them a little preview of the Super Bowl team, okay? All right. And Mike's like, Jerry, I don't think we're going to do that. And Mike's right. Look, if I take nothing else from the scrimmage or how this preseason has gone, here's what I take. They have a real head coach that they're letting be a real head coach, where they're not going to say, look, Jason Garrett would go golfing for you and go to your 7 country club meetings and hang out with your sponsors, and I'm sure Mike McCarthy's going to have to do some of that stuff too. But Mike McCarthy looked at it and said, guys, we actually have an advantage. This is very rare. There's no preseason games. People don't get to see there's no fans at practice to record everything and tweet out. We can actually disguise what we're going to do going into the season. Now, for however long that advantage lasts, the NFL is won by increments of this. So if you think you have this and the head coach wants something, shout out to the Cowboys for letting the head coach have it his way. So, yeah, it was a beating. I tuned in because I was like, oh, yeah, we'll see something. Maybe they won't run, anything tricky or try to show too much, but surely we'll get to watch football. And you just got close-ups of players followed by audio of something they had said this offseason. It was like a bad podcast. And I didn't see the DallasCowboys.com coverage. It was that was atrocious compared to what people were expecting. Derek Eagleton, who runs the Cowboys.com department, he's a badass, right? And he tried to set the expectation for people that, hey, this is not going to be a scrimmage. But like when I get on my TV, the TV guide thing is like Cowboys scrimmage. And they needed to just get that word out of there and not have that expectation anywhere and let you know, look, what you're tuning in for is to see the players stand and run. That was dumb. But if you do want takeaways from the scrimmage, we'll try. CeeDee Lamb's good at football. Dak's good at football. One thing, I know you guys see the scroll at the top. Logan Ryan is the main thing that I want to talk about today. Logan Ryan and not Earl Thomas is what I want to talk about for the Cowboys. But let me get through the scrimmage real quick, and we'll get to that. So Xavier Woods got banged up a little bit, came back out in sweats, and watched the rest. Ventel Bryant got banged up, but I did see this morning, apparently it looked bad on the field, but not torn ACL. MRI showed that, which I don't know why you need an MRI. You just have your ortho go and push on it, and he'll be like, yep, torn, or nope, not torn. But I guess MRIs confirm. So you had a couple of guys get banged up. Jordan Lewis still not out there. Cheeto's still not out there. But the guy who made the biggest play or the best play probably of the scrimmage was the touchdown. Dak threading the needle to Noah Brown on a corner route. And then hearing Mike McCarthy talk about Noah Brown afterwards, I think he's wide receiver 5. I think you got Cooper Gallup-Lamb, Cedric Wilson, Noah Brown. That's 5. If there's going to be a 6th, whether it's Aaron Parker, Ventel Bryant, whoever, then you'll have a 6th. But just based on their words And the fact that Noah Brown seems to be showing up and doing something every day in practice sounds like that could be your guy. He should make a really good special teamer too, because any wide receiver that the biggest thing that people talk about with him is his blocking, that's an effort thing. Effort guys make great special teamers. So Noah Brown sounds like he's wide receiver 5. Now, let's move on to the actual main topic of this, which I probably should have talked about right out of the gate, but I'm an idiot, and sometimes I forget what I'm going to talk about. The Cowboys should sign Logan Ryan today. Not Earl Thomas. Logan Ryan. And I'm going off of what Mike McCarthy and Mike Nolan and this team are talking about, what they want out of their secondary guys. If you're not one of the top 2 corners, you're getting some looks at safety. They want the versatility. They want you to be well-rounded so that they can mix things up and kind of play chess on defense. That's Logan Ryan. That's not Earl Thomas. Most of Logan Ryan's snaps have been as a slot corner in his career, some as an outside corner, some as a box safety. So he's kind of done everything. I know his agent is pushing out this stats that he's stacking up him last year versus all of the best safeties in football to be like, look, my guy's one of the best safeties in football. He didn't even play safety last year. He was a slot corner, and he gave up 1,000 yards. But I think that's going to be this defense. There's going to be an element of boom or bust. There's going to be an element of aggressiveness, of trying to get our hands on the football, of trying to force turnovers. And if that costs us some big plays, then so be it. Logan Ryan fits that. Xavier Woods gets hurt and has to miss for a minute. Put Logan Ryan in. Jordan Lewis gets hurt, has to miss for a minute. Put Logan Ryan in. Cheeto gets hurt, has to miss for a minute. Put Logan Ryan in. You can't do that with Earl. Earl, I think, is probably a Hall of Famer, but he's a deep safety. And they keep saying they want their safeties to be interchangeable, to be able to play up or down, to show different looks, to maybe line up over a slot or over a tight end. The guy the Cowboys should sign today is not Earl Thomas. It's Logan Ryan. He's out there. Anybody who's out there with, are we less than 2 weeks to the first football game? Anybody who's still out there, they're not getting a giant salary. They're not getting a huge contract. Earl's got too much other to worry about, and he's a specific thing. He's kind of a deep safety. Logan Ryan is a Swiss Army knife. So no matter what were to happen in your secondary, you could just plug him in. So that's what I wanted to get you. Logan Ryan, not Earl Thomas. Jimmy Greer says, what's going on with the other NFC East teams? Heard Andre Dillard is out for the year with a torn bicep, leaving their offensive line pretty thin. And Jalen Reagor got hurt now. So Carson Wentz has some sort of soft tissue injury because hurt guys stay hurt. That's what they do. And then today, Jalen Hurts was in and threw an interception, and Jalen Reagor was trying to make a tackle and hurt his shoulder, which the only thing I've seen about it is maybe something like 4 weeks. Maybe expect him to miss the first week of the season, maybe be back for the second week. But that's their second-round pick throwing a pick, and then their first-round pick getting hurt trying to tackle the guy who picked off the guy because Carson Wentz couldn't practice because he's hurt. So Andre Dillard, their left tackle, out of there for the season. Brandon Brooks, all-pro right guard, out of there for the season. Carson Wentz, kind of dinged up because it's what he does. And now their first-round wide receiver is hurt as well. Cowboys have the best team in the division. And Jimmy also says, not much coming out of Giants or football teams camp, unless it's sexual harassment from the football team's front office. That's because there's nothing to say. Those teams aren't good. The Giants are, Joe Judge was talking about taking the red jersey off of Daniel Jones to get him ready for the season. And then he joked that he was like having the coaches or the training staff get socks to fill him with bars of soap to beat him up to get him ready. So Joe Judge is cracking me up, Giants head coach. But, yeah, those teams aren't even relevant. Neither one of them is going to win 8 or 9 games. Don't worry about it. And the Eagles are probably – the Eagles are going to win no more than 9 games, and then a year from now their roster is going to be super depleted. much like Minnesota right now, who just traded for Yannick Ngakoue, and they had to get him to agree to just like take a $6 million pay cut just to fit him in after all the other guys they had to move on from and the guys who they had to move money around just to survive this year. The Eagles are headed for that. So unless you're dumb, this is the Cowboys division for a while. Ethan, how do you feel about having Darian Thompson starting at the other safety spot week 1? I know he's had a good camp, but I thought he was poor in coverage and sideline to sideline last year. To me, Darian Thompson, look, I know he started games in the NFL, like 20, 25, over the course of, a 4-year career? To me, that's a depth guy. He's a guy. If you can find him, and now look, they started a depth guy here for half a decade in Heath. But no, bring in Logan Ryan, man. Bring in Logan Ryan. You're playing interchangeable safeties that you want to be able to cover and tackle. Bring in Logan Ryan. Jamie, I know it's early, Jeff, but is this draft looking like it could be nearly as good as one of our top drafts ever? I hope so. Like, so far the return is, look, CeeDee Lamb's going to be a stud. Period. The end. Don't worry about it. CeeDee Lamb's going to be a stud. He's going to make a bunch of Pro Bowls. That's that. Trayvon Diggs, the early returns, I think, are looking pretty darn good for your second-round pick. Neville Gallimore, this is where you are with him, and Biotish and Reggie Robinson. Like, that's what makes drafts from a good draft to an awesome draft, is if somebody that you take, Reggie Robinson in the 4th round, is Anthony Brown and starts for 4 years and then gets a second contract, and you probably want him to be even better than that, but that's what makes a draft great. And Bradley and I is a 5th-round pick so far. Looks like a really good pick, which we told you on draft night. That was going to be a really good pick. So it's shaping up pretty good, but let's see what Biotish and Robinson, does DiNucci ever turn into anything? Anai. Let's just kind of see and Gallimore. Let's see what happens there. Jacob, love your videos and everything you do to bring awareness about mental health issues. Knowing what you know now about our training camp, do a mock draft of what positions we should take in the upcoming draft, round by round, assuming we keep Dak. Let's see. If you keep Dak and you were to have a draft, Griffin's a short-term thing. Poe's a short-term thing. Alden Smith is a short-term thing. Defensive line will be important. Safety will be important. Defensive line, safety, receivers good. Not really worried about tight end. Offensive line is fine, but if you wanted to take somebody in the mid-rounds to see if they could develop into something, that's cool. So I would say right now you are looking at mostly the defensive line and the secondary. If you want to pop a linebacker in there, that's cool, but I like Francis Bernard. I like where this is headed. John Chambers. Love how McCarthy's running this team. It feels like this year teams aren't going to know what the Cowboys are doing before they do it. What a bold strategy. Absolutely. Yes, that's the great thing, is that they're letting their head coach be a head coach. Who'd have thunk? Clayton Lockhart. Jeff, I love your take on what they should do if they want to sign Earl Thomas. I wouldn't go a penny over $4 million. Boys have all the leverage here. But again, that's the point. My biggest point today, forget him. Forget Earl. Bring me Logan Ryan. Leave in the comments what you want to talk about tomorrow. Shout out to my 19%ers who have the notifications turned on at youtube.com/Jeff Kavanaugh. Check 1053thefan.com every day. I'll see you on the radio, and I love you. Bye.